Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hello, friends. Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe coming to you on Tuesday, March 7th. It's about 10:15. The Dallas Mavericks just completed their 6-game homestand, defeating the Utah Jazz 120-116. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't really have much else to say because I think we should probably just get on with this one.
So, winning is good.
Yeah.
Winning is good. That's kind of my takeaway. But if the Mavericks are good at one thing, they're really good at upsetting expectations and really like taking the joy out of what should have been a shit-kicking win. The Jazz were without Walker Kessler, who is an outstanding player. He's the center. He had a non-COVID illness. Jordan Clarkson, who has a finger sprain, and Colin Sexton. So if you knew going into that game that was going to be the case, you'd probably think that the Mavericks, even with their defensive woes, would have beaten the Jazz pretty handily. And the thing about that is that they didn't.
No, that's what Jazz missing 2 starters and then their 6-man. Basically, three of their 6 best players.
Yep.
On a team that was already like not winning not particularly focused on winning basketball right now.
Which is odd because they're in the. I guess now they're probably dropped to the 10th. Like they might be out of the playoffs now, but they were 9th in the West prior to this game.
Yeah, testament to Larry Markkinen. Like holy crap, that dude is
flamethrower.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's crazy how this guy went from like bust to like in Cleveland. It was like, oh well, he's like an okay role player again, and now he's an all-star. It's like
right.
What a crazy trajectory for him. So he was probably the reason the game was close. He had 33 on 20 shots. It was a weird game in that, it was just another one of those bad starts. Dallas ended up winning the first quarter 34-31. But I think they went down like 14-9 or like 14-7. Like the Jazz got like a 5 or 7 point lead midway through the quarter or something like that. Like the Jazz started the game much better. And it was just annoying because as soon as you saw that, you were like, okay, well, this is going to be one of those nights, Even when the Mavs roared back, you were like, okay, well, they're just going to give it up. And they did. They had the 14-point lead in the first half that went away. They were tied at halftime. And then it was just a rock fight from there. And thankfully, the Mavericks made some more threes. Thankfully, Kyrie Irving is just missed the fourth quarter. And that's about it. The Jazz just came up a little bit short. And thankfully, the Mavericks were at home. They probably lose this game if they're on the road, if we're being honest.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those games where you're like, I guess the defense was a little bit better. But this was like, outside of Markkinen and outside of Taylor Horton Tucker. Like, I mean, some of the guys that the Jazz were playing. Abachi is their first round.
They had a G League guy they had a second 10-day contract guy that was playing. I mean,
Fontecchio, I can't say his name. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I watch this with any level of professionalism because I have like some house guests this week. Shout out to in-laws who stay for a week, which is just that's a choice. But the Mavericks have played
that lineup, and you're like, what?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Mavericks have played up and down to their competition all year, and that's largely because of Luka. He had an interesting performance tonight once again, and Ben Zadell, who just finished the recap, wrote that Luka looks completely worn out. He only played 34 minutes, but really he should have played 25 minutes. I thought the Mavericks looked better with him not on the floor. They
were a -3 with Luka on the floor entering the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And the only reason Luka finished a positive +2 was because when he checked back into the game in the fourth quarter, he didn't do anything. Like, he literally just conceded.
He was just feeding. And granted, he made the right pass a lot of times. But that also means that he was negative on the turnover, like assist to turnover differential for most of the game because he finished with the straight 1-1. He had 6 turnovers. The Mavericks, really high turnover game for the Mavericks. I mean, 16 total. You're like, that's not high, but the Mavericks normally finish like 10 to 12.
Right. Gave the Jazz some extra possessions. Yep. Gave them some fast break opportunities. The Jazz didn't shoot particularly well. So I guess you can count this as even though they gave up 116, you can kind of count this as a defensive win. I mean, the Jazz only scored 30 points in a quarter twice, which is like a miracle for the Mavericks. Congratulations, Dallas Mavericks, for holding a team under 50 points in the paint for the first time in 35 years. Although, Jazz still scored 48, but it's under 50. So
apparently, Bobby Corrales says that their defensive rating tonight was 102.7. Which
didn't feel like it.
No.
Watch the game.
If anybody's missed this thread, I put it up in Moneyball Minute this morning. The Mavericks are 3-21 when allowing 119 points per 100 possessions. Like, they're basically, if the Mavericks are anything other than garbage, they win 75% of their games. And by garbage, I mean, this season they're literally 31-11 when they're not the worst defensive rating in the league. Now, we're kind of mincing numbers here and being cute, but basically the math says that as long as they're not the worst defense in the league, they win the game most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. And I mean, again, I talked about it. We talked about it during the Phoenix game, talked about it during the Philly game. This is why you trade for Kyrie,
it was great.
Yeah. And then, if this is another one of those games where it's like, if that's Dinwiddie instead of Kyrie and Luka's having the kind of start that he's having, do they win this game? Maybe you get a good, Dinwiddie definitely had his good offensive games, but I don't know, because Kyrie also made some really nice passes. He had 8 assists, 3 turnovers. I've been really impressed. I mean, we all knew he was a good passer, but his passing has been really good since he's been in Dallas. I think he's really fit in well there with the spacing and kind of knowing where guys are and everything. And I mean, shouldn't be surprised. Like, he's a really good basketball player. So, but again, another game where I don't know if they win if they don't have him, and that's why you trade for another star, because these nights are going to happen. Luka can't be Superman every night, and we might be alarmed at how often he's not looked like Superman in the last couple of weeks, despite his point total. Shout out to that Slow Hoops fan that's probably going to be angry for me saying this, that I'm holding Luka to some unreasonable expectations, but he's looked off and since the All-Star break, which is really weird because we thought he would come back. He usually looks killer when he comes back from All-Star breaks. The last 2 seasons, I think he's come back the first month of games after the All-Star break. He's dynamite, and he's looked a little off for whatever reason. So a good game to have Kyrie back, and Maxey played, which was nice. I was a little worried about him missing that last game. Like, wait, hamstring soreness, and he's questionable again. I was like, oh God, what's going on? But he played. He looked okay. His offense wasn't great, but he grabbed 7 rebounds, did some good things defensively for the most part. So yeah, nothing,
This is advertiser content brought to you by Frito-Lay.
Hello, I'm Chip Murphy, here to get you ready for the big tournament. Tonight we break down who will be cutting. Cut! What are you two doing?
Sorry, Chip. Prez here got his feathers ruffled when I told him Ruffles has 0 chance of winning the title.
And I was letting Dip know that she is not taking into account Ruffles' iconic ridges.
Guys, it's March. We have to start talking about the tournament.
We are. It is the 2023 Frito-Lay Snack It.
We're talking about big-time matchups between Cheetos, Smart Food, Lay's, Sun Chips, and more.
Just head to the Frito-Lay Snack Bracket and vote for your favorite chip, pretzel, or dip for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks.
This sounds great. Keep up the good work.
Just go to fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 4/3/2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com.
it was
here's an alarming number just for the sake of argument. Okay. Tim Hardaway is shooting 29 of 46 from 3 since All-Star break, and the Mavericks have won just half of those games.
Feels impossible considering how they played before the All-Star break with his shooting.
And I say that tonight because if he shoots, he was 7 of 9 from 3. If he's 5 of 9 from 3, the Mavericks lose.
And 5 of 9 from 3 is still good. So,
yes. So, I mean,
they have no margin for error because the only way they can win games is by outscoring teams. Like
the shot quality they're getting is really good.
Oh yeah.
So if there's some, granted, it's hard to explain this to somebody who's never seen an NBA player shoot in practice, like just doing standstill stuff. But these guys at the NBA level, if they're there, most of them are absolutely preposterous shooters. We're talking like Eric Dampier sticking threes and shooting contests type stuff. In the game, it's a little different, obviously. But the kind of shots that Luka and Kyrie are helping create for this team are open. It's wild. And that's not going to go away. It's a matter of do the Mavericks have enough guys to knock down those shots? So, as we sort of there's one more player I want to talk about, but as we transition into tomorrow night with Reggie Bullock leaving the game with a thigh contusion, the Mavericks just don't have, like, they really, we don't want Theo Pinson minutes. We talked about that. And then we might have to get some if Reggie misses time, and Luka too.
We were talking about how bad the depth was before the Kyrie trade, and it's you lose Dorian. It's only wing is just it's non-existent. And Josh Green, excuse me, Josh Green kind of quietly coming back down to earth after his outrageous start to February. There was a stretch there where he was basically averaging like 18 a game. And then
what the hell is going on with him? He's a player I wanted to talk about because he looks terrible.
I think it's a combination of, I think he was on a heater. He was on a really good run, start of February. And I wonder if that inflated expectations a little bit because we still have to consider he's a third-year player who basically didn't play his rookie year, barely played his second year. Like, this is his first, legitimate season getting minutes, he wasn't a rotation player his first 2 years in the league, right? So let's just maybe cool the jets. And, before that hot streak, he was basically like a 7-point-per-game guy. So maybe that was just an outlier, those first couple of games in February. And maybe he's just returning down to earth a little bit. It's fair, I think.
I sort of wonder if he's on the scouting report now to a degree.
That also helps. He's not getting the Tony Allen treatment anymore. That's for sure.
Which is good.
Right. That is good. You don't take the next step unless if teams treat you like that your whole career, there's something wrong. If you're a starting NBA player, you shouldn't be ignored. So That's a good point. I think he All-Star break, teams had some chance to reset. Maybe he finally made it onto some scouting reports.
I mean, he's getting the minutes. Like
Yeah.
he's effectively returned to what we had hoped for before he got, sent to the bench for 2 games, where the past 4 he's played 22, 32, 28, 27, and anything north of 25 minutes for Josh Green I'm pretty pleased with.
Yeah, for sure. Took 5 threes, which is a lot, but that's, he has to take them.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm noticing is they really need a wing that can rebound besides Luka. You look at his athleticism, like Josh's athleticism, and he's 6'5", so he's kind of short, so it's probably not fair to expect him. I don't know how good of a rebounder he can be, but he's not he gets those really awesome offensive rebounds from time to time where he kind of skies up near the free throw line and hustles, and you're like, oh man, and you see that in your head and you're like, oh, he's a good rebounder, and then you realize the rest of the 20 minutes he was on the floor, he only grabs 1 or 2.
Yep. And
that's been kind of they need to find a way. That's he doesn't need to be an 8 rebound guy or 7 rebound guy just because he is 6'5". There's only so much you can expect from him, but they really need to find, because him and Bullock are kind of the same. I mean, they're not the same player, obviously. Green has a lot more skills offensively, and but in terms of body type, kind of Green's obviously a bigger athlete, but they're both kind of smaller. They're 6'5", 6'6" wings.
Yeah.
They're not big power wings that you would expect that could go toe to toe with a LeBron or a Kawhi or.
Yeah, and he's getting just to give you a statistical comparison, in 25 minutes a game this year, he's averaging 2.8 rebounds.
Josh is?
Yes.
Yeah, so
that's simply not enough. 1 rebound every 8 minutes, not enough. I'm not saying he needs to grab 7. I'm saying he probably needs to grab 4.
Right. That's fair. And maybe that's something he grows into.
Sure. I mean, the Mavericks do certain things that are worth noting, where it's nobody boxes on a lot of stuff, and that's a problem. That's just a team-wide problem. And then I think it's sort of understood that Luka's going to go get a lot of the boards.
Yeah, for sure. But it does feel like the 2 best rebounders on the team right now are Kyrie and Luka.
Which is, yeah, and that's something that lots of people reasonably gripe about anyway.
Right.
Are allergies killing you too? I've been cooked.
It's been like that for a month.
I'm dying. I get allergy shots now, and I'm just what is am I just going to be perpetually sick here? All basketball season? It's very annoying. How's that for great podcasting? Well, not really a ton else to talk about. We have another game tomorrow against the Mavericks are probably heading to the airport after they all shower to go to New Orleans, where they play a 6:30 p.m. game, nationally televised on ESPN, against the New Orleans Hornets, who are struggling in their own right. Definitely not, the sort of matchup that I think that ESPN was looking at. They're, they have, enough guys with injuries and things actually, they don't have any injured players. So,
well, Zion.
Well, okay, is he? I just clicked the ESPN. I just clicked the ESPN thing, and it doesn't have him. That's ESPN's injury report is garbage.
Well, yeah, I think they got McCollum and Ingram and Jones. They've got everyone, I think, back but Zion for the most part. I think Garrett Temple's out.
No, you're right. You're right. It's Jose Alvarado's also out. What? And so's Larry Nance. What are we doing, ESPN?
Those are 2 big ones.
Yeah. So that'll probably be a pretty interesting game. Probably a little more tactically, the Mavericks just played down to the Jazz tonight. There's a little look ahead going on. This is the second to last back-to-back that they have this season. And it's good that the Mavericks got the win, because I think that takes a little pressure off tomorrow night, because they're not very good on the road. But the Mavericks, they need to keep racking up these wins. They just need to pad the total. Otherwise, I think they're going to be you just don't want to be in that play-in. The Mavericks need that week off.
Yeah, they do. And it's getting, not to be doomer, but we thought that this 6-game homestand was going to be kind of what turned the season around. and it's been 6 games, and they're 34-30, like 2 games above 500, which
Right.
is what they were coming out of the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And like they're bad on the road, and they're about to play 5 of their next 6 games on the road, and thankfully they get a New Orleans team that's floundering without Zion. They get a Spurs team that's basically an automatic win.
Right.
But still, like they play Memphis, and Memphis is probably going to at the lowest point of their season.
Yep.
Remember we were talking about, like, we didn't know we like Ja was going to probably
John Morant's probably not going to play. Like I just
any of those 3 games.
Yeah.
Like you're going to miss them all. Like we were wondering, is he only going to miss those 2? No, he's probably going to miss.
Yeah, the way that the NBA is soft playing that, because I don't think they want to do, like, it's been incredible. Not to get too off track here, but I listened to Gilbert Arenas basically explain what David Stern told him, which was, you're going to eat this 50-game suspension or I'm coming for your contract, which Adam Silver, it would like the NBA is basically hoping law enforcement takes this out of their hands, because they don't want to do this. And I don't blame them from that respect, and that it's ugly PR, but like they simply can't let Ja play. And Ja doesn't seem, it seems like he wants to, it seems like he's getting some help for maybe some issues with alcohol and things like that, which are, stuff that, thank goodness, we don't have to cover that from our point of view. The weirdest things we have to cover is Luka Doncic showing up on somebody's Twitch stream because he's playing, what game was that? Overwatch. And, jokes like the occasional photo of him, eating. It's like, who cares? It's so much better. Because, like, we've just had so much stupid stuff to cover over the Mavericks the last 5 years. I was, thinking about that today because, today was the 6th anniversary of Dirk passing 30,000 points. And it's like after that, a lot of weird stuff started happening with the Mavericks. Like, and it's just like, oh, this is nice. We're just purely talking about weird basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry,
Anyway.
just you saying occasionally a photo of him eating, it's kind of cracking me up.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the past 2 days have been filled with lots of Suns fan memes, and it's just it's so funny. Like, Booker and Luka are 2 of the, like, if you're a hardcore NBA fan, Luka and Booker are probably 2 of the most annoying players.
Yeah.
If you're like indecisive, it's just like some of the stuff about them has been really, really funny. But I liked it. Anyway, I'm rambling. We've talked too much. We'll be back tomorrow night. I'm gonna go record hopefully a short live show because, like, what can you really say about this game? But we'll be back. Come to the site. We have some stuff coming up overnight, and we will talk with you guys tomorrow. All right. Everybody have a great Wednesday.